Okay, so the broadcast is live now. And what this is, I guess I'll introduce this first. So Lab Lounging is a series that I'm going to do is mostly live videos where we just kind of relax and talk about pieces of gear and kind of explore them. Um, I want to have it open to guests and whatnot. So if people want to come in, join the live chat, or if people want to actually jump into the Google Hangout, they can PM me on Facebook. And if you PM me on Facebook and you want to be on here, all you need is a webcam and a mic and a relatively quiet space and a decent connection. And I can get you in here and you can ask questions about the module. You can so if you're curious about the module, if you want to know stuff about it, general synthesis, if you're curious about that and how it would apply to the module, that sort of thing, we can kind of talk about that and just go over some things. So basically, this is the Vermona unicycle. Now, this module is, they essentially took the oscillator from their 14-foot synthesizer, the 14, excuse me, and put it into eurorack form, and then they added a few features to it. So this one has hard sync, soft sync. It's got linear FM on it, exponential FM, and the pulse width is where things get really interesting on this thing. So let me go ahead and I'm going to bring up a little bit of sound, and it may be a little bit haphazard because, again, this is all live. So just bear with me on that level. But I'm using the Fluxus one right now to control it, and I just have a simple pattern setup. No filtering, just going through the VC8 and levitate for some VCA action here. And you can let me know if it's too loud or if I'm too quiet or whatever. Matter of fact, I'll turn my monitors down a little bit. And what's up, ATK Modular? And I see Steve Baker's in here. Steve Baker's the guy who is behind Ethereal Sun cases. So he's the guy that made this custom case. Now, what I want to show about this is we'll pause this for a second. And yeah, so we'll go ahead and I just want to show up top here. You can see this is the Siglent SDS 1202XE. Now, I literally just got this oscilloscope, so I'm still kind of learning it a little bit. It's very similar to the 1202X that I did a review on before. This is their more affordable version of it. It comes in around $400. I have to check exactly on the price point on that. I'll have a lot more information on that soon. But basically, the only real difference is that it's a 7-inch screen instead of an 8. So that's pretty awesome. But so that's what we're seeing up here is the actual unicycle. Now, that pulse width that I was talking about on here, what's really cool about this is we have wave shaping for these outputs. These 3 outputs on the side, we have our square wave with pulse width modulation. Then we have even. So square wave is all odd harmonics. Even is obviously all even harmonics. Okay, so if we take a look at that waveform for a second here, let me set the pulse width to normal. You can see you get this kind of strange looking wave shape, and that is all even harmonics on here. And let's listen to that for a second. It's got a nice thick sound. It's kind of like a rolled off saw wave that's been folded just a little bit. So when we start adjusting the pulse width on it, you get different harmonics coming through. And I'll turn that up a bit. And again, in the chat, let me know how the sound is at all times. Like if you're like, hey, it all of a sudden started sounding terrible, or it always did sound terrible, let me know and I'll fix it. Okay. You go all the way forward, you get into this kind of sine wave territory where it's just slightly folded. Now I can actually we'll go ahead and there we go. Bring this back down. There we are. I just wanted to get a nice shot of that. And you can see how it kind of, when we come back, goes into like triangle territory, and kind of, when you go all the way to 0, it's almost like a peaked out sine wave. But as we turn it up, we get more of these harmonics. And of course, you're getting that at the same time as you're getting your square wave, so you can kind of play with that. Now, right next to those, we get some interesting waveforms, because next to our pulse width modulated waveform, we have a sine wave. So you get a really nice pure sine wave on it. Below that, you have a triangle wave. Really nice pure triangle. And then your saw wave. Now, let me pause this because I want to show a patch setup here. Really nice aspect about this thing is the way that the sync works, because it has soft sync on here. If you get to an integer, it'll lock onto it and it'll cut off your waveform. But if you're not on an integer, it'll kind of like rolls forward a little bit. It's pretty cool sounding. So what we'll do is I'm actually going to patch a saw wave out. Yeah, we'll do a saw wave out from, I'm using the Lifeforms double helix VCO down below here. And just to kind of give you an idea. Now I'm going to play with the pitch on this thing a bit. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to attenuate the waveform. All right, now what I'm going to do is like I said, I'm going to attenuate that waveform. And what's cool about that is the soft sync actually is directly affected by attenuation. So the level of that waveform going into it will directly affect how it reacts. So, and I'm using the Vermona quadrupole to attenuate it. So we'll go ahead right on back into here. And I'm going to start bringing that level up a bit. Now we're back up to full. I'll back it off a bit. And I'm going to keep it kind of low, and then I'll adjust that frequency sweep of the Lifeforms double helix like I did before. And you can hear how it kind of locks on and starts following that. Now, alternatively, if it was hard sync, you can see how it chops that waveform. Of course, I'll bring it up a little. Okay. Now we got a question on here. Let me adjust my window just a little bit here. So he's asking if it's just the module or if I have anything else running. And no, that's just the unicycle, no filter, just going through a VCA. That's the only thing that we have going on here. That's how I'm getting that gating sound. It's just the unicycle by itself, and it's being controlled by the Fluxus One sequencer. So that little trill sound, that's just the Fluxus One triggering the gate. It has an arpeggiator built in, but I'm having it just unison on the same note, just trilling it just to make it a little bit more interesting. But again, if we look at that waveform up top, you can see, and if you want me to zoom in on that, I can kind of move the camera, but you can see how the sync is allowing it to kind of chop that waveform up. And if let's go onto that even waveform, because the even waveform sounds really cool. So let's check that out for a second. Now we're doing hard sync on the even waveform, and I'm going to adjust the frequency of the double helix oscillator, which is what it's syncing to. And again, if we go to soft sync, you get a really cool sound. It almost sounds like there's like a unison kind of thing going on there. Now, for added funk, what we're going to do here is I'm going to send that same pitch sequence into the double helix. Get this bad boy over here. And I'll pitch this down a little bit so it's a little bit closer. I'm just kind of rough estimating. There we are. So you can see we're on an integer there by the way it's following. And you get that kind of locked in sound. Again, this is soft sync. Now if I adjust this off of that a bit, it's almost like a dissonant type sound. We'll go way higher. And we'll bring the attenuation up. We'll go really low. And of course, so let's play with the, we'll take a sine wave out and we'll play with the FM on this thing a little bit as well, which is really nice sounding FM. So if we go into the linear FM, let's go to the sine wave output so you can kind of see what we're dealing with here. And yeah, the FM on this thing is really kind of clean sounding. I dig it. So let's take a listen. I'll actually pull this out for a second. Smooth this thing out a little bit. There we go. That clicking was the envelope. I'm using a Pittsburgh envelope on the VC8. And again, if you're watching, join the live chat. If you want to join the Google Hangout and ask questions directly on the Google Hangout, feel free to PM me on Facebook and I can send you the link. And as we go into the lower pitch range here. And we can play with that attenuation amount. Now, something really cool about this thing. Let me pause this thing. I'll just tell you a couple of cool little tricks and features about this module that I personally didn't fully expect. Well, first off, the build quality is really nice. I don't tend to do like outright reviews of gear that gets sent out to me. What I tend to do is I like to kind of give overviews and tell people about the gear, how it works, that kind of thing, just to avoid any kind of ethical issues. But I just want to give my opinion on a few things. One, the build quality on this is like ridiculously good. And one of the ways that I can kind of show you is I'm going to share my screen so that I can show what the module looks like on their site. So you'll get an actual better picture of it. And the reason why I want to do that is, let's pull this up, is you got to see this. Oh, no, here we are. Cameraman. No. Share screen. Yes. Okay. You got to see this switch. Okay. You guys can see this? Yeah. Steve, can you see that? Yeah. Okay. So the little octave switch that you're seeing right here, it says high, octave, and then low. Right? Let's see if I can get in here. So this thing is like a really nice hi-fi audio switch. It's not like, I don't really have anything against like little lighter toggle switches or anything. Oh, let me close this. My mail just popped up for some reason. Okay. I don't have anything against like the thinner toggle switches. I don't think they're bad. Like the ones on the double helix. I think they're fine and they feel solid. But this one is like, it's kind of like vintage hi-fi equipment and really unexpected for a eurorack module, really. And let me go back to. I'll stop screen sharing for a second here. Okay, so back on the module here. So this guy, a function of it that's kind of interesting is that it's not so much just like a high range, middle range, and low range. It's more about how the tuning acts. It changes the characteristic of the tuning. So when you're setting your coarse tune, this thing is actually exponential, more exponential the further you get away from center, which is really nice. It makes it really easy to tune it. As you get closer to center, it becomes more like a fine tune. And there is a fine tune on here as well. But what I've noticed with this module is it holds tune very, very well, and it'll keep tune across a large range of octaves, like 8+ octaves. It seems to be pretty good on that. Now, when you go into low range, it's like it's LFO range, but it's not really slow. Okay, let me see if I can find the exact numbers on that. It's not super slow, but it does give you that kind of range. But it's kind of more like the bottom audio range, you know. High range, you get the full range. This tune knob will be the full range of the oscillator's tuning, whereas in octave, this becomes much tighter, and you can kind of like fine tune your tuning a lot easier. So it's not just a high, medium, low like a lot of the modules out there, if you know what I mean. The knobs feel really nice. It's the pots on it are really smooth, not too loose, not too tight. So I kind of dig that stuff. Now we'll get back into some actual sound of it now. That was linear FM that I showed just before this, and I'll kind of recap through a bunch of this stuff for newer viewers too, and set up a bunch of different style of patches. Again, I'm using the Fluxus one to control it. Let's see if we can kind of show you what I'm dealing with down here. So this is what I'm using to control it, the sequencer that's controlling it, the Fluxus one. And again, this is the unicycle is not going through it's not going through any filters or anything else. It's only going through the erogenous tones VC8. The levitate, just so I can kind of adjust volume a little bit. And I have a ridiculous method. I send through like 3 mixers before I hit the output, just because I like to adjust, fine-tune adjusting stage, especially when I'm doing videos like this. So it goes through ana module, trana module, and out through stereo output module. But again, we're on exponential FM, and with the quadrupole, I'm going to take the FM down. Let's take a listen. And as I bring this up, and let's hear that with, we'll do the even. And we'll adjust the FM pitch. We're pretty damn high pitch right now, so. And that is something that I'll tell you about a lot of different analog oscillators, is some of them kind of fall down when you're doing exponential FM. Some of them can't handle the higher audio rates and above audio rates. This one seems to handle it pretty well. The double helix from Pittsburgh, that seems to be like one of the ones that I have that will FM the highest. I was really surprised by that. So I kind of like using it to FM other modules and then comparing them against it. I've got this, the dual 258J right next to it, and these two anti-module LM VCOs. They both do really nice FM as well, but the FM on the Vermona just seems to be a little bit more controlled, which is nice. Now we'll go ahead and we'll play with the pulse width, and what we're going to do is, let me take this back to here. We're going to do pulse width through audio rates, just so you can get an idea of how that sounds, because the even on here sounds really, really cool. Oh, lower thirds is blocking at patch jacks. Hold on, let me chow. Let's see if we can adjust this a little bit. Oh, hold on. Okay, let's do it like this. Matter of fact, I'll take the lower thirds off. How about that? I do not need to have that big of an ego. Here we go. There. And we'll try to bring this in. I take it you guys do want to see the waveforms, right? So that's why I'm kind of... I had originally planned to use 2 different cameras, but one of them came up missing. And again, this is the Siglent SDS1202XE. This is their new scope, their affordable one. It's like somewhere in like the $400 to $450 range, $450 range, somewhere around there. I'll double check on all that, but I got that yesterday, so I'm kind of just getting to know it and play with it and check it out. It's pretty cool. It's got the it's got that super phosphor display, like the 1202X that I had reviewed, and it's got the color grading and all that good stuff, so you can kind of, and the persistence, so you can kind of get some pretty cool waveform views and all that good stuff. Really handy. So let's, where was I at? We're going to do the pulse width modulation. And I know we're probably getting, you know what, I'll change up this pattern a little bit, just because I know you guys are probably getting tired of hearing it. I always see like demo videos where people are complaining about, oh, well, it was the same sequence over and over again. It's like, well, this is a demo video, man. Chill out. Not necessarily on my videos, but anyone in general. So I see it all the time. And I always find that funny.
It's just because they're not feeling inspired,
I guess. I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where modular demos can go a bunch of different ways. I mean, you can kind of go the Richard Devine way, which, you know, I love his stuff as well, but a lot of times his demos, you can't tell what's doing what because he has so much going on. And then it could be, you know, something where, you know, you want to show exactly what this module does and then allow people to think about how they would apply it inside of their own rack. And then there's that happy medium where you kind of patch it up and do some other stuff, you know, simple filtering and that kind of thing, just to see how it reacts with well-known filters. And that's kind of what I like to do. And, you know, leave the more esoteric stuff to when I'm, you know, in that modular zone. So what I'm doing here is I'm just, again, I'll show you guys this. This is the Fluxus 1 sequencer, which is kind of my go-to sequencer at this point. It's really fun. And Tenkai over at Zetaohm has been just pumping out updates for it, and they're shipping now, so he's kind of doing a lot of really cool stuff, and I don't know, it's just really fun to play with. So we'll do we'll do this. Yeah. Let's add another little trill in here too. And this one will be kind of cool because it'll be a third, and then we'll go up 2 octaves and we'll make it a minor. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm affecting the, oh, I should probably move that camera back a little bit. If you want to see both views, you can analog scope here, digital scope here. Let's take that persistence off. The color is nice because it'll let you see the finer waveforms. Okay. So as I was saying, pulse width modulation on the even. Up in audio rates. And if we let it follow, then we'll do the saw waveform folded. Now, something that I really like doing with this module is when you adjust the even for things like snare drums and whatnot, you can get some really cool tones out of it. I might see about setting up some of those patches in a bit. But the pulse width modulation on here, on the even, just to me, it sounds really, really cool. I'll use just a straight regular LFO on it so you can kind of get a better idea. Now, this is the kind of stuff that, like, we're getting into Nick Bat territory. Tons of pulse width modulation on it. And you can see the waveforms here. We'll zoom in a bit. And we can adjust that. Now, I'm purposely preventing it from going all the way to 0. You can let it do that. I'm just preventing it from doing that so that I keep the waveform still, because I'm triggering off of the square wave down here. You can see that's actually the square, the pulse width output. And if I were to bring this all the way up, you'll see that it does go to 0. So you can get that kind of pseudo VCA effect on your VCOs just by modulating the pulse width. Let's send it through some filters just so you guys can have some more musical idea of how this thing sounds, because I know people will get a little bit irritated just listening to it raw like that sometimes. So what filter do we want to use? We'll use the 5089 first, just because that's the standard mini Moog style filter and kind of everybody knows how that sounds. Give me a second here. I'll grab a couple of cables. And yeah. Okay, where are we at? Let's see if I can zoom out just a bit. We'll kind of adjust this a little bit like so. Bring it way back. Do you guys want to be able to see the filter? Eurorack is so fun when setting this kind of stuff up. Okay. There we go. And we can probably adjust a couple of camera settings here real quick. Let's bring this over. And again, it's live. So if you're watching this later and you're like, why is this not edited? Well, figure it out, dude. Or do that. All right. Yeah, we'll do this. I think it's about as good as we're going to get anyway. Yeah. Kind of kick that back a bit. You can kind of see it. I'll explain it. Anyway, so we're going to come. This is the 5089 filter right here from Studio Electronics. This is basically their mini Moog filter. Okay, no filter tracking. Let me go here. Not going to push it too hard. My input's at like maybe 3/4. And I just want you guys to kind of get an idea of how the filters grab hold of these even waveforms. So no resonance right now. Push it up a little bit. And we'll see where we're at. Slow this thing down a bit. And actually, we'll go. Okay, so now, and we'll ping this thing off of here too. I'm just gonna send an envelope to the filter so you can get an idea of that. Okay, and we're still doing that pulse width modulation over here on the even waveform, and you don't need to see all my freckles and tattoos and whatnot. I'm just a fool. Okay, so let's take a listen to how these waveforms sound going through that filter, and we'll bring up some resonance. It's got a very nice, you know, bit of harmonics that filter can kind of bite onto, which is nice. And we'll start taking these pitches down a little bit, give you an idea how it sounds in the lower frequency range. Let's slow this sequence down a good bit. Let's do this. Okay. And we'll kind of push this a little bit. All right. Okay, now let's go ahead and give it FM. Oh, yeah. Back a bit.
Again, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you feel that the units that are coming out now have more, less, or no difference in analog drift?
Oh, it depends on the model. Okay. So, and it depends on what you're after too, because really something like this is not going to drift a whole heck of a lot because it's designed to very fine characteristics. And why did that just go so dark?
I
Okay.
noticed that too.
All right, let me fix that real quick. So that's weird.
It just got darker.
Okay, let's bring that back.
There you go.
I blame the man for trying to keep me down. Yeah, that's really weird. Yeah, it just kind of jumped on me. That was strange. Let me do this. Oh, you know what? My brightness dropped all the way down too. That was strange. Let's bring this back. Sorry about that. And we can bring this back. I'll drop that to there. That's a little bit better. Anyway, Yeah, really. Steve says, come back into the light. So again, what I was saying is, as far as drift is concerned, and that kind of, I guess you're kind of getting after that vintage sound. Is that what you're talking about? Like the analog vintage, kind of like the older analog synthesizers that would drift a bit and be a little bit more unruly.
Exactly.
So yeah, something like the unicycle is it's a really nice medium because you don't get a lot of drift. It's very, very stable. Okay. But the oscillator still has like a nice full bodied tone. That's why I really like the even output on here. You get that really nice full tone. Now, when you're on something like the Animodule the LM VCO, these suckers are like raw vintage oscillators. They don't track as well across a larger range. So like 5 octaves is like the max that I'm really looking to get when I'm using that, right? If I try to go more than 5 octaves, you're going to get a lot of drift. Okay. And that drift could be desirable. It might not be, it depends on what you're after. But I use these when I want that like raw vintage tone. I go after these guys, and I can give you a quick sound bite of what that sounds like. We'll do the saw wave out of here. And okay, this guy here. We'll open this up. Now it's not in tune right now, so you have to kind of bear with me on that level. Just down a little bit. But when I use like 2 of these together, I'm going to get a lot more drifting between the two. And, I can pull it out and I can sit there and I can calibrate the 2 modules as best I can to get them close to each other. But once I get past 3 octaves, I'm getting a bit of drift there, and it's cool. Like, it sounds awesome. When I do that with something like the unicycle, the double helix is really stable. It has a little bit of drift to it, but not a lot. Let me think. The dual 258J has a decent amount of drift. It's its own beast, man. And this one is kind of built a little bit crazy too. Like if I pulled it out from the panel and you looked at it, you would be like, "What happened?" Like it was built by a friend, and it's cool. Like I kind of bought it from him on the premise that I don't show people the back. But it's a really, really cool oscillator. I had to do a few fixes to it, but it's really cool sounding. But it does have that vintage drifty sound. Something like the what is it? The Dixie doesn't really have much drift. That thing is just pristine and it stays locked in place. So it really just depends on what you're after. The digital modules, like the way I have mine set up, is these are all analog up top, and then all these oscillators here are all digital, and then I have all my filters, and then another analog oscillator, and digital sound source. I like these because these are kind of like, oh, you can't even see what I'm pointing at. The double helix and the elements both kind of have that like Vactrol pingy type sound, so I keep them side by side. Basically, like from here down, like you don't have a lot of drifting going on. It's pretty tight stuff, which I like. But then you have things like the modern Moog synthesizers. They don't have a lot of drift to them. Like they're very, you can program in drift, but it's not the same kind of drift. You know what I mean? It's like a drift within a certain slice of parameters, whereas these ones, when they drift, it's much less predictable. It's more like, okay, like I kind of know like at what pitch range things start to drift apart from each other, but it also depends on where I tune them to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Does that kind of answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay. I kind of went on a tangent on that. Sorry about that. But here we'll bring this back in here. So I want to show. Let's see if we can do this real quick. I kind of want to show something a little bit less typical, I guess. So we'll go. We'll go through the Thriller. The thriller filter, you can get these from SynthCube. This filter is amazing, man. It's so like, oh man, it's awesome. There's no two ways about it, man. This filter will just knock your socks off. Now what's cool about it is it's got a ton of modes on it. So for each mode, 1, 2, 3, 4, you have 3 outputs, right? And they're different pole outputs. So you can do low pass, band pass, and high pass on it, and get different variations of that in there. And the resonance on it is just insanity at all times. So, all right, where are we
but
at
that's
here?
an adjustable resonance, right?
Yeah, so you can CV the resonance. You can also do that on the 5089, which is a cool trick. The resonance on this thing, you can voltage control your resonance, you can voltage control the filter and the FM. And then you can kind of tune it in really fine as well, which is nice. And it acts as a really cool LFO as well. But to me, like the way the input works with it, it can distort your oscillators and your sound. Like I love running drums through it. Like drums sound amazing going through it. So let's see where we're at real quick. I'm on soft sync now, so I can kind of bring it down here. Broken up sound. Now again, that is the soft sync reacts to the input level coming in. So when I pick up the quadruple here, you hear it kind of lock in, and when I back it off, you get that more kind of dissonant sound with it. And I can play with the pitch, try to hit that integer. There you go. And then I'll bring it back up. Now if I filter this, now I'm on 12 dB per octave right now. Let's give it some resonance. Okay, and I am pinging this a little bit. It just starts sounding gnarly going through this filter, man. And again, I'll kind of, let's make this thing a little bit more interesting, this patch. Change this up. Okay, so all right, now I'm trying to get my hands out of the way a little bit. I don't know if you guys want me throwing drums to this stuff as well, just to make it more interesting. But yeah, I can actually throw this over here, and we'll do this. I don't know. Again, like I've been kind of rearranging, getting ready for this house move. So things are kind of a little bit chaotic here. We'll grab this, my little sync cable, and this may need to go. I could do it like this. Do clock output like so. So any other questions about this? What's up, Dissonant? So any other questions about that module before I kind of move on? And we'll do this over here. Actually, we're going to do this. Go here.
Hey, Ken.
Here. Yep.
Do you remember back in the mid to late 70s, the Electrocomp?
The Electrocomp. I think someone had one at the Philly Synth Meet not too long ago. I had not used it or played it or touched it, but
they had a master oscillator synth, master oscillator, sorry, that you could switch between bands and you could switch between octaves.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Give me. I'm sorry. I'm half sidetracked. There we go. External clock. Okay. We'll do. Okay, let's see what we got here. Sorry if I'm in the way. Give me just a second here. This guy over here. I don't know if I have this set up right. Give me 1 second here. Just setting up these modular drums off to the side here. And we'll do a little bit more of this. We can kind of play with the fluxes going here. I can kind of play with the timing a good bit. Band pass. Pat's asking if I've had any other. Well, the braids is braids, and then of course I've got 2 orgone accumulators. What else? I've had the Sputnik in my rack. I've had what else? I had a DPO in my rack at one point. Let me turn this down. I didn't realize it was clipping quite so hard. Sorry about that. Good Lord. Let's see where I'm at here. Okay. That should sound a bit better. Hopefully. Okay, so let's play with some patching on here. Just some fun patching, just so you guys can have an idea as far as what I like to do with it. All right, let's take this guy out of here. Yeah, I'm just gonna set up a cool patch real quick. I'll use the double helix with it. And we'll do. I'm just gonna kind of quickly set up a pseudo random patch that should just sound fun. Actually, you know what? I'll use elements because I'm using double helix for FM. I'll do, this. Okay. All right. I feel like I'm on against the clock doing this. The perils of live streaming, I guess. Matter of fact, let's. Okay. Use the even. Yeah, sure. We definitely drop that down. And we'll do a little bit of screwing But yeah, basically, you know, just as a quick idea. No, the Arturia sequencer over here is a BeatStep Pro, and let me make sure I don't have anything I can't show. Yeah, I'm good. So that's just a BeatStep Pro, and that's just doing the modular drums, which this whole rack right here is nothing but the modular drums. The clock was coming from a Trigger Riot right here, but it was literally just a clock module in that. And the sequencer was the Fluxus one, which is this guy right here. I kind of, ow, that's the Fluxus one, which is awesome. I highly recommend it. And then of course, you know, the main synth line is coming from the uniCYCYLE, and then that secondary line from Elements. This is the Elements that I built myself. With a magpie faceplate, which is very pretty. I like it a lot. Yeah, so the main thing about that uniCYCYLE VCO, again, just to recap, really nice build quality. I love the fact that the hi-fi switch up top here, which again I can kind of share that screen so I can show you that. So again, that hi-fi style knob here, which lets you get finer or coarser control over your tune knob, as well as still having a fine tune. You have the pulse width of all these waveforms right down here, the square wave, the even wave. You know, square is all odd harmonics, even is all even harmonics. Then you have your saw wave there, and then triangle and sine. And yeah, it's really cool, man. I dig it. So I'm gonna do some more videos like this, and I'll try to actually not have them be quite so haphazard as far as when I do them and all that kind of thing. But I've been remodeling a new house and a new studio, so things have been very sporadic, to say the least, over here. Plus, I'm trying to meet a bunch of deadlines, so. I've got a ton of new products coming out. I've got about 21 new products that are all going to drop right around the same time. So that should be really fun. I've just been kind of waiting for something to happen. And once that happens, I'm going to release all these new products. But yeah, so I'm going to do a video on this guy here as well. This is the Quadrupole, which is a mixer and ring modulator. Let's see if we can get that focus a little bit better. What do you say? So it's really cool, man. I didn't want to do both of them together at the same time, just because it would probably get too confusing right off the bat. In this patch right here, I was really just using it as an attenuator. But man, when you start sending voltages into the CV in here, oh, it sounds awesome. So, and that gets back to the whole dual oscillator stuff that you can do, and just how cool it sounds. So if you guys have questions for me or anything, hit me up on Facebook. If you want to see videos on certain modules and whatnot, definitely let me know. Other videos that I have coming, the bends from Warm Audio, Warm Star Audio. This is a module that I want to do a video on it as soon as possible. But when I say as soon as possible, that means I have to learn it. It's pretty interesting, and I have it sitting right next to maths because it makes a perfect pairing with maths. So I'll explain that module. I'll explain that module in detail, and I'll probably have Warm Star Audio on the show when I do it. That way you guys can actually check it out and get feedback right from the source on that. I haven't done it yet. The Ossitron right here. Sorry, can I get that thing to focus? Probably not. The Ocytron has a drum firmware, and I am dying to install it and check it out. So as soon as I get that installed and I kind of learn it, I'm going to do a video on that as well. That thing is really cool as it is, like as it, you know, just the standard oscillator that it is, which that is a gross, you know, that's a gross understatement for what it is. It's a really cool module. I've done some videos on it before, so you can check those out, but I really want to do the drum, the 8-bit drum on this thing. So that should be really cool. So anyway, just hit me up. You guys know where to find me, all right? And hey, Steve, thank you for coming on. And I hope the beer is tasty.
As always.
Awesome. So yeah, I'll check you all later, okay?
Peace, y'all.
Peace.